Hi, welcome to today's practice focused on joy and gratitude. Let's begin in child's pose. So come into a tabletop position, bring the toes and knees together, and set the hips back toward the heels. The head can rest on the floor or on a block. If it feels better for you to keep the toes together and the knees apart, go ahead and make that adjustment, or any other adjustment that would benefit you in this position. The arms can rest on the floor above the head or beside your legs. Allow yourself the space to focus on your breathing. We are moving into the holiday season, and every season brings different challenges and emotions. We can often feel a mixture of joy, stress, and perhaps even suffering and pain. The Passion Translation of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 16 through 18 state, "Let joy be your continual feast. Make your life a prayer. And in the midst of everything, be always giving thanks, for this is God's perfect plan for you in Christ Jesus." Perhaps you'd like to focus your practice today on acknowledging your feelings, whether they're good or bad, while also making your practice a moving prayer focused on talking to God about your difficulties and asking Him to help you bring a sense of joy and gratitude into this season. Take a couple more breaths here. If it feels good for you, you may want to gently rock your head from side to side, allowing for a gentle massage on the forehead. On your next inhale, come into your tabletop position with your hands underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. We'll go through a few rounds of cat-cow. So on your inhale, lift the tailbone, chin, and chest. And on your exhale, round your back, tucking the chin and the tailbone. Again, inhale, lifting the tailbone, chin, and chest. And then on your exhale, round the back, tuck the chin and the tailbone under. Continue moving through these shapes at your own pace. Come back to your neutral tabletop position. Shift your hips to the right while looking over your right shoulder. Take a few breaths here. Let's change sides. Shift the hips to the left and look over the left shoulder. Breathe here. Come back to neutral, and from here, lift the hips up and back to come into your downward facing dog. Take some time to pedal out the feet, or maybe rock the hips from side to side. On your next exhale, step the right foot between the hands, and then drop the left knee to the ground. Lift your chest to come into a low lunge. You can rest your hands on blocks, or if you're making this practice a moving prayer, maybe you want to keep your hands in a prayer position. You also have the option to raise your arms overhead. Breathe. On your next exhale, take the hands back down to frame the right foot and begin to shift the hips back while straightening the right leg and aiming the right toes toward the ceiling for a half split position. You may notice you need to adjust the right foot a bit forward on your mat so that the left hip stacks over the left knee. The hands can be on the floor or on blocks. Continue breathing. On your next exhale, shift the weight back forward, returning to your low lunge position. Tuck the toes of the left foot under and lift the back knee. Raise the chest, coming into a high lunge. The hands can be at the hips, in prayer position, or overhead. On your next exhale, open the chest up to the left side of the mat. The left heel will spin down so that the toes of the left foot point to the long end of the mat. The right leg will stay bent, with the right toes facing the top of the mat for Warrior Two. The hands can remain at the hips, reaching long and away from the shoulders, or they can remain in prayer position. Gaze is over the right shoulder. Continue breathing. On your next exhale, lower the hands back down to frame the right foot. Leave the left hand planted underneath the left shoulder and come into a twisted low lunge by opening the chest over to the right and lifting the right arm overhead. Gaze straight ahead or up toward the ceiling. On your next exhale, lower the right hand back down to the ground. Step the right foot back to meet the left. Drop the knees to the floor and lower into child's pose. Take a moment here to recenter. If this practice is a moving prayer for you, refocus on talking to God about your stresses and difficulties and asking Him to help you set your heart on joy and gratitude no matter what you're facing. Let's get ready to repeat all that on the left side. On your next inhale, come back into your tabletop position. Exhale, shift your hips up and back to come into your downward facing dog. Take a full breath here. On an exhale, step the left foot between the hands and drop the right knee to the ground. Lift the chest to come into your low lunge. Remember, you have the choice of resting your hands on the blocks or placing them in prayer position or lifting the arms overhead. Take the hands back down to the floor to frame your left foot and begin to shift the hips back while straightening the left leg and aiming the left toes toward the ceiling for your half split position. You may notice you need to adjust the left foot a bit forward on your mat so that the right hip stacks over the right knee. Rest your hands on the floor or on a set of blocks. On your next exhale, shift the weight forward, returning to your low lunge position. Tuck the right toes under and lift the back knee. Rise into a high lunge position, resting the hands on the hips, placing them in prayer position, or raising the arms overhead. On an exhale, open the chest up to the right side of the mat. Right heel will spin down so that the toes of the right foot point to the long end of the mat. The left leg will stay bent, with the left toes facing the top of the mat. The hands can remain at the hips, reaching long away from the shoulders, or at prayer position. Gaze over your left shoulder. On your next exhale, lower the hands back down to frame the left foot. Leave the right hand planted underneath the right shoulder and come into your twisted low lunge by opening the chest over to the left and lifting the left arm overhead. Gaze straight ahead or up toward the ceiling. On your next exhale, lower the left hand back down to the ground, step the left foot back to meet the right, and drop the knees to the floor and lower back down into your child's pose. Take another moment here to recenter your heart on joy and gratitude while asking God for help with any difficulties you're currently facing. Lift the chest and make your way into a seated position. Take the legs straight out in front of you and pull your right knee in towards your chest. Then allow the knee to fall out to the side and pull the right sole of the foot into the left thigh. Adjust your sternum so that it's aimed toward the left knee. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and on your exhale, begin to send your chest forward while aiming the tailbone back and folding over the left leg. Inhale, lift the chest. Place the right ankle above the left knee. Rest your hands on the floor behind you near your hips. Place the sole of the left foot on the floor to come into a seated figure 4. The closer the left foot is to your hip, the more intense the stretch in the right hip. Find the place where you can breathe comfortably while still being challenged. Aim the right knee away from your body and keep the foot flexed. Take the left leg back out long and place the sole of the right foot back on the ground. Pull the right knee in close to the chest and let the right hand rest on the floor beside your hip. Hug your knee in with your left arm. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and on an exhale, twist to the right. Gaze over your right shoulder. Exhale, return to center, taking both legs out long in front of you, and we'll repeat this on the left side. Pull the left knee into the chest, and then let the knee fall out to the side. Pull the left sole of the foot into the right thigh. Adjust your sternum so that it's aimed toward the right knee. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and on your exhale, begin to send the chest forward, aiming the tailbone back and folding over the right leg. Inhale, lift the chest. Place the left ankle above the right knee. Hands rest on the floor behind you near your hips. Place the right sole of the foot on the ground for a seated figure 4 on the left. Pull the right foot toward your hips, finding the place where you are gently challenged with a stretch in the left hip. Keep aiming the left knee away from your body while keeping the foot flexed. Take the right leg back out long and place the sole of the left foot back on the ground. Pull the left knee in close to the chest and let the left hand rest on the floor beside your left hip. Hug your knee in with your right arm. Inhale, lengthen the spine, and on your exhale, twist to the left. Gaze over the left shoulder. On an exhale, come back to center. Place both soles of the feet on the ground and slowly lower into a reclined position. From here, pull the knees into the chest. Take a few moments to rock from side to side. Place both soles of the feet back on the ground. Let the feet be wider than the hips and allow the knees to meet in the center. Begin to slowly windshield wiper the legs from left to right. Return to center and we'll make our way into our final resting pose. Take the legs out long, wider than your hips, and let the feet fall out to the sides. The arms rest beside you with the palms facing up. If it feels safer for you, you can keep the soles of the feet on the ground a bit wider than the hips and allow the knees to touch in the center. Your hands can rest gently on the belly. Allow your breathing to return to normal. Let your weight be supported by the floor and stay here as long as you need. Thank you for practicing with me today.